Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Olushola. I'm an econometrician and I'll be taking some topics in econometrics. Econometrics is actually seen to be a bit difficult, but I'll make it look simple as possible. So, I'll be taking a topic known as time series modeling and forecasting. Kindly click on the bell button and also like the video. Uh, Under time series modeling and forecasting, we'll be talking about 3 or 4 tests that are used under time series modeling and forecasting. We have the unitary test, we have the co-integration test, we have the long run and short run dynamics. We also have the ARDL modeling. When we talk about ARDL, we mean auto-regressive distribution lag, ARDL. So, but for today, we'll be taking more on unit rate tests, and as time goes on, we'll continue with the other topics. So we said under time series modeling and forecasting, we have unit rate, tests, we have co-integration tests, we have long run, and short run dynamics, and for the lastly we have ARDL modeling. And we say ARDL, the full meaning is auto regressive distribution lag. And so we said we'll be talking about unit rate tests today. Now, what is unit rate test? We said unit rate test is a test for stationarity. It tests the stationarity of a time series. Is a test for the stationarity of a time series. So why is unitary test important? Why do we test for unit rate? Actually, we test for unit rate for different reasons. For example, we test for unit rate whether the time series variable is stationary or non-stationary. So one, we said why do we test for unit rate? We said one, to test whether there is stationarity, or we can say to test whether the time series is stationary or non-stationary. So when we say a time series is actually stationary, we mean that there is no unit rate. And when we say a time series is non-stationary, then it means it possesses a unit rate. So another reason why we need to test for unit rate is for the purpose of a shock analysis. And three, to evaluate the efficiency. We actually test for unit rate to evaluate the efficiency of the financial market based on the efficient market hypothesis. So we evaluate the efficiency for the purpose in order to evaluate the efficiency of the financial market based on based on the efficient market hypothesis. Now another reason why we can actually test for unit roots, we say we test for unit roots to evaluate the stability and predictability of the time series. Yes, to evaluate the stability and predictability of the time series So when we talk about, now we actually know the reason why we go through the tests, in order to test for the stationarity or non-stationarity of the time series for the purpose of shock analysis, to know how efficient the financial market is, and also to actually evaluate the stability and predictability of the time series. So now we have some variates used in testing for unitary test. We have about 3 variables that we'll actually talk about. We have the ADF test, like ADF type test of unit root. We also have the LM type test of unit root test. We also have the GACH test. When we talk about ADF is augmented Dickey Fuller. So we said the variates of unit root test. So the types of unit root test we have. We have 3 variates actually. We have one, we said the ADF type of unit root test. Of unit root test. And when you talk about ADF, we mean the augmented Dickey Fuller test. The augmented Dickey Fuller test. Then we said, secondly, we have the LM type of unit root test. And when we talk about LM, we mean Lagrangian multiplier. Lagrangian multiplier. Then thirdly, we have the GACH. We have the GACH type of unit root. When we talk about the GACH type of unit root, GACH, we say GACH means, when we talk about GACH, it means when we talk about GACH, we said thirdly, we said we have GACH. And when we talk about GACH, GACH means the generalized autoregressive. We have the generalized autoregressive conditional heteroscedasticity. We have the heteroscedasticity. So we said conditional heteroscedasticity. That is GACH. So for today, we'll be looking at one of the variables we'll be looking at under the unitary test is the augmented Dickey Fuller. That is the unitary test using ADF. And we said ADF, the full meaning of ADF is augmented Dickey Fuller. So now, what is augmented Dickey Fuller? What is what I said? Augmented Dickey Fuller. Now, augmented Dickey Fuller test is an extension of Dickey Fuller test. Is an extension of Dickey Fuller test. And why? Because it involves estimating the parameter of the underlying regression. It actually involves estimating the parameter of the underlying regression. So it can also be, the augmented Dickey Fuller can also be described as, a parametric unit root test.